Good morning and welcome to all workshop participants, and welcome to Family Investment Strategies for Wealth Creation. This morning, I'm going to ask that you submit any questions that you have through the chat, and I will address those or I will ask our panelists that we're honored to have to address those questions. Now, I am Fortune Ann Taylor. I am an instructor at Johnson C. Smith University, and I have the honor of introducing you to the following panelists. First, Mr. Ken Zendale, who is CEO of Better Investing. Mr. Zendale joined the National Association of Investors on March 2nd, 2020. He currently serves as CEO of both Better Investing and the ICLUB Central, which is the iClub. Its wholly owned subsidiary. In this role, he is responsible for leadership and executive management of both organizations and associated communities. His journey to better investing began back in high school when he was president of the Stock Market Club. From there, he matriculated to the University of Chicago and graduated in 3 years from this world renowned institution. As a data driven executive with over 25 years of experience, Mr. Zendale has worked with some of the world's largest brands for his leadership on a marketing campaign with Act Against Violence. Mr. Zendale received the APA Presidential Citation. Before joining Better Investing, his team was named the 2018 Automotive Agency of the Year, Digital by Media Post. Mr. Zendale is a certified educator in personal finance who is passionate about investment education and the mission of better investing. We're also honored to have Darren Day and Jennifer Mack. Let me just share a little bit with you about Darren. Darren received his degree in electronic and engineering technology from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. He has worked extensively in application engineering in telecommunications, sales engineering for electrical infrastructure projects, and engineering project management in the electrical utilities industry. Now, Jennifer Mack is also a registered nurse who has her Bachelor of Science in Nursing from UNC, University of North Carolina, Wilmington, as well as an MBA from the University of Phoenix and a master's in health and healthcare administration from Queen's University of Charlotte. She currently is a patient services manager for UNC Health. Darren and Jennifer will share their real life experience with starting an investment club in their North Carolina community. I am sure you're anxious to hear from all of these highly experienced speakers. So I'm going to ask Mr. Zendale to please open the session. Thank you, Mr. Zendale.
It's my honor to be here today, and it's my privilege to lead the National Association of Investors with its esteemed history of educating investors. We have a standard disclaimer. My presentation is for educational purposes only. I don't believe I'm mentioning any stocks, but if I do, they are just for illustrative purposes and are not to be considered endorsed or recommended. And we may be recording this session for future use. So let's start with a little background. Who is the National Association of Investors? We were founded in 1951 by 3 investment clubs. These clubs built successful portfolios and thought, others need to know how to do this too. We're a national 501c3 nonprofit investment education organization. And for 70 years, Better Investing, also known as NAIC, has been uniting everyday people from all walks of life with a common interest in improving their financial futures. We are here to serve our members, consisting of both investment clubs and individual investors. As a nonprofit, this is important. We do not make investment recommendations. We are not a financial advisor who charges commissions or some influencer who is trying to push you to buy a certain product that their company has a financial incentive to endorse. Instead, we teach our members not only how to determine on their own whether a stock is worthy of their hard-earned money, but also how to determine the price at which to buy the stock that will give them the return they are seeking. First, our mission. As a nonprofit organization, our mission is to educate individual investors and investment clubs to become successful lifelong investors. Our time-tested approach is based upon our core investing principles. First, to invest regularly, regardless of what the market is doing. Stay invested. Don't panic. Research has proven this to be the key to success. Second, to reinvest your dividends and capital gains from the sale of appreciated stocks so you can take advantage of compounded growth. Our third principle, and the one we spend the most time on, buying stocks of high quality growth companies at reasonable prices. Most people do a pretty good job picking a quality stock. Where they are challenged is in understanding when is the right time to buy it. And we teach how to make those judgment calls. Lastly, fourth, we minimize our risk by diversifying our holdings. These proven investing principles, coupled with our education, provide our members with the learning, tools, and investing skills they need to build wealth. Coupled with the strength of the community, empowers our members to control their own financial futures. So now to the subject of the day. Tens of thousands of our members follow these principles that I just walked you through via an investment club. What is an investment club? An investment club is where a number of family members or friends or work colleagues, current work colleagues, former work colleagues, or members of a professional association, where these folks pool their money to invest and learn together. There are clubs of all types of people, folks who go to the same church or alumni of the same university. An investment club typically meets once a month. They make sure they meet regularly. Participating in a club helps you and your fellow club members become more engaged in the stock investing process through learn by doing. Much like a rowing team in an investment club, you go further together. An investment club is a proven great way to put what you learn into practice in a supportive environment. Learning sound, practical investing skills with others who have your back and a similar interest or approach to investing is very rewarding. Many of our members didn't know anything about investing when they first joined a club. They learned along with their club members. For others who were more experienced, they started an investment club as a way to pass their knowledge on to family members or friends. Ultimately, a club is about learning and growing with each other. The community of the club provides the reinforcement that enables people to learn about stock investing and successfully practice it. The modest investment of each individual, the limited time each puts into research, and the devotion to the four proven principles collectively add up to a formidable investing force. Our belief is that at some point, club members will feel comfortable and knowledgeable enough to invest on their own due to what they've learned in the club. But staying in a club keeps club members motivated and provides new ideas. In addition to making money together, it is also a great social opportunity to have some fun along the way while learning by doing. One of our members recently wrote into me, quote, Because of Better Investing, I'm financially secure. Your education is priceless, and I'm passing it on to my kids and grandkids. A typical club member has 3 responsibilities. Each club member is expected to participate in the club by attending the monthly meeting, by making a minimum monthly contribution to a club. Typically, these are $25 to $100, but each investment club sets their own monthly minimum or amount. And third is to research and follow the progress of a particular stock or a family of stocks, which either the club already owns or is considering to purchase. So how do you start an investment club? There's 4 key steps to formation. First, search for like-minded people who have the same interest and desire about investing stocks as you. This is crucial. One of our longtime instructors cautions, quote, if some members of a club are interested in, quote, playing the market rather than a more studied long-term oriented approach, the conflict has the potential to tear the club apart, end quote. Step 2, it will probably take 2 or more of these organizational meetings to work on formulating your club before the first official monthly meeting. Talk about general concepts, gauge interest, make sure you want to invest in the same kind of things. Once again, if you're not on the same page, it can tear your club apart. If one person wants to invest only in stocks, another person wants to invest only in cryptocurrency, it's not going to work. Next, registering the club and its members with Better Investing is the easiest step. Better Investing sets you and your club up for success to invest profitably together. Better Investing members have access to an in-depth and growing learning center designed for both beginning and experienced investors. In addition, it protects your club as registration includes general liability insurance, which covers loss resulting from bodily injury to others or damage to property of others at a club meeting. And finally, done right, an investment club is set up with a formal legal partnership agreement to protect the assets of each individual. This is the 4th key step. We have sample partnership agreements available on our website. Once you've done those 4 steps, you'll begin to lay the groundwork. First, operating procedures. These are the detailed workings of the club, which should be customized to meet the needs of your specific club and its members. This document covers rules such as the officer's duties and the time of meetings. And once again, we have samples and templates at Better Investing, so you don't have to start from scratch. Next is to establish an investment policy statement. This spurs consistency in your stock selection. It prevents your club from getting distracted. And this statement may cover items such as what are your goals for your club? What are allowable and prohibited assets? How do you want to diversify? What's the minimum amount you want to invest in a single security? New clubs may create a more general statement at first and then refine over time. Then you're in the home stretch to success. Next, you will open a brokerage account where you will buy and sell stocks. In some cases, there's no need for a bank account because many brokers provide the ability to write checks against a money market account in any denomination. The next step is to establish your accounting procedures. When sharing funds to make investment decisions as a partnership, the club will need to have club accounting procedures in place. Club accounting software such as myiClub.com, which also includes other valuable club administration tools, makes much of this process easy. Now the regular learning and fun begins. Clubs that conduct well-run, organized meetings are on a smoother path to lasting success. One of the most valuable aspects of investment clubs is the education they can provide. Clubs that maximize the educational aspects of their meetings usually find that profits follow. of investing experience within your club. Create a list of topics, potential guest speakers, and educational resources provided by Better Investing. Finally, when studying potential and current investments, use the Better Investing online stock selection and analysis tools, including the stock selection The stock selection guide helps one learn facts about a company's past, take a look at how it is doing in the present, and form a judgment about its likely value in the future. More specifically, the Better Investing online tools present sales, earnings, One key tip for starting an investment club: a commitment to at least 3 years is critical. If you were to take the liquidation value of your club, in other words, if you said, get me out of this club and give me my money back, of most clubs will be often less than the capital contributions of its members during the first year or even 2. Investing in the stock market is a long-term proposition, and your personal contribution may only increase in value after the first year or 2 of a club's operation. We find that clubs that make it to 3 to 4 years have lasting success. In addition to the support we provide individual investors, Better Investing is universally recognized as the leading authority on how to start and run a profitable stock investment club. Better Investing club members are provided with the knowledge, process, tools, investing skills, and the support of a dynamic and committed member community in order to run a profitable investment club. Remember, we've been starting and supporting investment clubs for over 70 years. We're confident that you can be a successful investor, and we're confident in the resources we provide you to achieve that success. We are passionate about our mission because we know how much is at stake for you. We succeed every time you and your family's financial future becomes more secure. Take the next step to securing your financial future and sample our resources. If you have any questions, and we'll cover some later in this session, but if you have any questions after that, please reach out to 248-583-6242. You'll speak to Michelle, Rhonda, or Treva. Or you can email them at service@betterinvesting.org. Thank you for listening. Back to you, Dr. Taylor.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you very much. We're now getting questions, but before I ask you to address those questions, let's move to our 2 other panelists, and we will then entertain all questions. Thank you, Ms. Williams, for your patience. Okay, Darren and Jennifer, please. There they are very much.
Okay, I hope you all can hear us. Thank you for having us. This is a learning experience for us as well. That was some good information by Mrs. Zandel. I actually took a few notes myself because this is a learning experience, like I said as well. We are the Family Wealth Management Group. We are a group of 12 family members located between Hartford, Connecticut, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and Durham, North Carolina. We started our group about 2 years ago. And I'm going to allow for my other family member to introduce herself as well.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mack, and I too am a member of the Family Wealth Investment Group. And yes, it is a total of 12 of us now that started this process together. And similarly, for the reasons he just highlighted, we wanted to build and establish generational wealth for ourselves, for our families. We wanted to learn and grow and do more together. In some ways, it was some people who were already investing privately and have their own portfolios. This was a way for them to open themselves up and not only share education, but learn from people who were more unbiased, who had not tapped into the market yet. So thank you again for having us this morning. And it was nice to see him highlight some of the paths that we've already gone down thus far to validate where we're going and that we're on the right track.
Yeah, our group, we have like Jennifer said, we have a diverse background. Some of us are in nursing, pharmaceutical sales, engineering, accounting, business management, business administration. And like Jennifer said, we all were, trying to do some investment on our own. And really, we came together, to learn really off of each other because, we really thought that we could do more together than individually, and really just being honest and transparent. We didn't have, people in our family that could teach us how to do stocks. We didn't have that. So for us, coming together and learning off of each other, we thought that we would be able to do more as a team than, like I said, as individuals. Um, I think one of the most important things that we really wanted to do was a couple of things. The set something up for possible retirement, um, leave something for the next generation, but also be able to educate the next generation. Something that we didn't have, but that's okay. We're all willing to learn so that we can start this. So just putting this group together for our family, it was very important for us, to come together to do that. A couple of questions that Mr. Daniels wanted us to address, and I just kind of want to, go across those is, how do we choose stocks? We broke our group up into groups by large cap, mid cap, and small cap. And each group is responsible for bringing stocks to the table to vet those opportunities. I think right now we have, 4 in each group. And within each group, we break that down into sectors. And individual members of each group, will use our platforms that we have. We have our platform for the group is Fidelity, but some of us use E-Trade as well. We use our stock screeners to look at where the market is, and we're able to use some of the fundamentals and some of the technical analysis tools to actually vet stocks and put them on our watch list. A little bit more into some of that, but I just kind of wanted to kind of touch bases on how we choose stocks.
And just like he mentioned, with the fundamental analysis and the technical analysis, we found that some people, that was their niche. That's what they were good at. And then others were good at reading financial statements, like your income statement, your statement of cash flows, your balance sheet, when you're trying to look at, how different companies are able to move, which ones have strong brands, which ones are larger. So it's like everybody kind of operated in their own gift. And once the stock was brought up to the table, we can all add to the discussion from there. So we've come a long way with understanding what those are. to where Darren's group even really dived into the market indicators in a way that really helped us better pick our buy-in points, and just kind of interpret where the stock was along the way to say, hey, we're doing good, or hey, we need to watch something. So Darren, do you want to talk to them about those indicators?
Yeah, yeah, we can. Yeah, I do, because we do have and we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but we do have a meeting agenda that we follow for every meeting, and we do have a session where we bring stocks to the table, and we also have an education piece in our meetings as well, because like I mentioned, we learn off of each other. So if someone has a topic they want to talk about, then they bring it to our educational session in our meeting, and then we learn. One of our members created a SharePoint site for our group. So we do have a watch list on our SharePoint site, and a lot of our training we keep on our SharePoint site so it can be referenced. But it's been trial and error, and it's been baptism by fire. But as we've grown and educated ourselves, one thing that has really helped us is we learn how to use market indicators such as the Bollinger Band, the relative strength indicator, the RSI, and the MACD, to actually look at our stocks, and we're starting to be able to see trends, and now we're able to use some of those indicators as buy and sell points, and knowing when to sell and when to buy. But it took us some time to actually to learn and get to that point. But like Mr. Zandel said, we're, as a family, we're in it for the long haul. So we're trying to use publications, networking, and a lot of our training actually has come from others. Mr. Daniels, that sponsors this event, has helped us out tremendously with his information, with his foundation here, and we get him to speak to us a couple of times a year to give us a state of the market, so that we just kind of know what direction we're going in, and just being able to listen to others give us the advice that we need, because like I said, we're learning every day.
In addition to what he's explaining, we too, one of the things that the previous speaker hinted on was establishing a partnership agreement, which we were able to do that. We had to establish like a place where we receive our mail. We did get a way in which we could trade online. We also have an investment policy. I think one of the questions were, like, how do we decide between long-term and short-term stock? Instead of that, we have an investment policy where we try to concentrate 70% of our assets in blue chip type stocks. Those are your large branded companies that have had true and tried earnings. That's your Target, and that's your Amazon, places like that. And then, just like he alluded to with the cryptocurrency and those type of things, is tempting, but 30% of our monetary policy is around the OTCs, where we just try to make sure we have a portion of our stocks to where it's not as risky, to where we'll start seeing those gains, in addition to still trying to capitalize on what's going on in all these other areas of exchange.
Yeah, and one thing that's very important for us is actually fundamentals. And this is something that we've learned to just kind of look at, what business, these companies are in that we're looking at, being able to read up on them, read articles on them, just to kind of see, where they're going. Have they hired, new managers? Or are they going through layoffs? We're looking at, do they bring are they bringing in new technologies to the market that may be attracted to investors? So, we've really tried to focus in on just the basic fundamentals of companies, and by doing that, we're able to kind of really see what they're doing, and it helps us make a decision. if we're going to possibly add this company to our watch list. And then from, like I mentioned, from a technical analysis standpoint, then we can go on to our indicators and just kind of look back, 5 or 10 years to kind of see how the stock's been trading, how it's been trading, the volume. And we look at it from a technical analysis from that standpoint. And then if we decide to go with it, then we can use our indicators to see where the stock is trading, if the traders are buying it or selling it, because that's been key with these technical indicators. Because even though a stock might be ready for us to buy, but it may be getting sold, so we have to wait, and we use the RSI to see if it's closer to 30 for our buy-in, because that point between 30 and 70 is where you buy and sell from. And we look at the standard deviations on the Bollinger Band and look where the MACD is on the timeline. So what I can say from a fundamental and a technical analysis standpoint is that since we've learned how to use them, the stocks that we have invested in, even though the market has been very volatile right now, are still in the green. And that has been because of the being able to use the indicators and understanding the fundamentals of a company. Because even though the market might be a little antsy right now, if it's a good company, it has good fundamentals. You can, when it goes down, we kind of use those as buying points, because we know through the fundamentals that this stock is probably going to go up. So we're in it for the long haul. So right now, the stock market being down, we're looking for opportunities, and we're sticking with what we have. Let me see if we have any questions here.
Only other question we could address real quickly, I think you've touched on this, Darren. Do we acquire any training on how to make investments in stocks? It's mostly, like you said, self-taught. We share videos, sometimes even during the meeting. It's like people here, like I learned very early on, I had FOMO, fear of missing out. I didn't know it was a condition, but one of our team members educated us on some of those type of things. But you have to kind of like piggyback off of each other, and you kind of got to challenge each other to really put forth. Just sometimes is that particular week you put forth the extra effort to latch on to stuff, because you got to stay motivated. You got to capitalize on any synergy that you have. Even though we have a meeting schedule, sometimes we call impromptu meetings with the consideration of people's livelihoods to try to get in on things as real time as possible.
Yeah. And and we're a group where we're all professionals, so we have to learn how to work together. Though there can be challenges there, and we learn how to agree, to disagree, and agree at the same time. It's a learning process, but it has really helped us grow by learning off of each other, because everybody has contributed. And I think by having us in groups the way we are, it really holds us accountable to each other. Because like Jennifer said, we all have, families and busy lifestyles, but we are accountable to each other and dedicated to the success of this group. And, we're very thankful, to be able to come together and unify and do this.
We're even planning travels together. So they even took vacation towards the first end of the COVID wave, and we plan future vacations going forward to places where we'll have to funnel in education as well. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you to the panelists for this information, and also for being role models of what family investment strategies are all about. I'd like to just ask you to answer some questions from our participants, our audience members. They're excited as I am. The first question is, and I'll just throw this out to the group: can you name some platforms where you can buy stocks?
Well, I'm pretty sure everybody has a something they can throw out on that one, I'll go first. Our group uses Fidelity, but I'm more familiar with E-Trade. So I trade off of E-Trade personally, and then the group we use, like I said, Fidelity. But these platforms, once you really learn how to use them, I mean, they really are very educational, as far as being able to understand, what's out there. Because I use stock screeners. You can query stocks, what's selling, what's the high price. I just kind of throw things out there and just kind of see what's out there on this platform. And then, and these platforms provide a lot of the fundamentals and technical analysis that we're talking about. The tools that we use, the technical indicators, are actually on these platforms. And these platforms are educational and have training as well. So I would recommend getting on one of these to help you get started. And that's just my opinion.
Thank you, Darren. Jennifer, do you have anything to contribute to that?
I agree with Darren. In addition to that, the news, I think he's the one that turned me on to CNBC during certain times of the day, especially during my lunch breaks and stuff, just to stay on the cusp of things that you can then go to the platform and look up. So
Thank
also
you.
use your news.
Great. Ken, would you like to respond to that inquiry?
Sure. I mean, there's a plethora of places, all the way from, we have a lot of clubs that use TD Ameritrade or Siebert. I think the key is for people to look at what are the fees they're going to be paying and determine what they're going to be getting for that and decide which platform is best for them. But there's a plethora of platforms.
Great. I'd like to throw this out. Can you share with our attendees the difference in fundamental and technical analysis, please?
I'm very primitive still. We are in our 2-year, 2-year growth or whatever. But for fundamental analysis is when you look at the valuation of the particular stock, like the fair market value. We actually have an individual on our group that has an accounting background. So she would bring out all of those type of ratios that she would have us look at and evaluate to determine how a stock is performing in terms of their ability with their assets, and those kind of things. And then technical analysis is when you look at kind of like the trading activity of the stock, what price it's sharing at, what volume it's trading at, and those type of things. Part of those indicators that he was explaining is my understanding primitively of the difference between the two. I'm sure Dr. Zendel can add to that layer.
Well, I'm going to ask also what difficulties you faced with your investment club and how you dealt with this. This question comes from Ms. Williams.
I think with us, where we are now is we were not there when we started this group. We were very impulsive in some of our buying, and we got burnt on a couple of stocks to where, okay, this impulse buying, shoot from the hip type buying is not going to work based off of excitement and things of that nature. We're going to have to learn how to be able to do fundamental and technical analysis. And that's where the education piece really came to the forefront for us. This is where we had to gut check ourselves to say, okay, if we're going to have a successful group, we're going to have to now put the work in. And that's when we started, coming to the table. I got a YouTube video I want to share tonight on how to use a Bollinger Band. And that's how we started out. Because, investing, I mean, it sounds good to say you're in an investment club, but it's work involved to make it successful, to educate yourselves if you don't have someone to actually educate you, and we didn't have that. So for us, it's been baptism by fire. but we're on smooth ground, and we are very confident now in where we're going, and we see that we're starting to learn, and we feel good about where we are at this particular time in our group. I hope
Well,
I
that's
answered.
great. I was thinking when you said confident, I was thinking of comfort too, now that you are well informed. Mr. Zendale, I see you nodding up there saying, yes, Miss Mack, yes, Mr. Day. What would you like to contribute to what they have stated about those issues you face when you're developing a club?
No, I think they nailed it. I mean, I think, between the fact that you have to make sure you have like-minded people, like we've talked about, if, one person wants to be short-term investor and one person wants to be a long-term investor, there's going to be some of that strife, right? And then it's those first few years of laying the groundwork, getting your education, doing your research, and those things. Once you get past those hurdles, then you're set up for success.
Thank you.
And we had that.
Oh, go right ahead, Mr. Day.
Yeah,
Go
we
right
had that, what Mr. Zendale said. We, like Jeff had mentioned earlier, we have a 70-30 split, between, the long-term stocks, and we have some members that are very keen on opportunities in the penny stock world, which is, some of us are not educated to. So, we had to kind of bump heads and come to a decision where, okay, we'll set this amount aside for that investing, and this is where the trust comes in with your group, to where they will educate us and we'll trust them to manage that portion of our portfolio, while the remainder of our group is focused on the long term. So, like I said, when you got 12 people and everybody is investing, we had to really come together on our strategy and really set up some bylaws so that we could properly operate and not fall apart, like Mr. Zendale is saying can happen if everyone is not on the same sheet of music.
Right.
So it goes back to having a plan, developing rules. So this brings me to another question that we have. Do all members in an investment club need to contribute the same dollar amount?
From my experience, the answer is no, as long as everyone understands what everyone's contributing. But if you, especially when you're talking about a multi-generational investment club, you may have some younger members who do not have as much money to invest. You can create unit values so that those people can still contribute to the club.
Okay. How many members in an investment does an investment club need to contribute? How many should a single investment club have as members? That's really what I want to know.
Sure. So it sounds like, this Darren and Jennifer's club has 12. That's a great number. We see a lot of clubs around that number. I think you probably need 6 to 7 minimum. Obviously, you can start with 2, but I think 6 to 7 to about 15 is we find the sweet spot. Once you get past about 25, starts to get a little bit unwieldy sometimes. And I think SEC regulations say it has to be less than 100.
And I also wonder, I heard you say Durham, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia. How wide can the family members group be throughout the United States, or do you just limit it to certain regions?
Well, we don't. We, like I said, we have people spread it out. With technology today, I don't think there's you can be spread it out all over the world. But that goes back to what Mr. Zendale was saying about the dues. We have set dues, and each meeting we go over dues and who's paid and who's not, because we want to make sure that all of the funds are there when it's time to vote and make a decision on a particular stock. And for us, we had a meeting to come up with the set amount, and then we go from there.
Ms.
Dr.
Stewart
Taylor?
I'm sorry, go right ahead.
I just want to add in on the states and in terms of being spread out. The
Yes.
one caveat there, I think it's great to be able to connect with people across states, is to make sure that where your members reside and what the tax laws are in each of those states,
Mhm.
because some states do require an investment club to file taxes, others do not.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Is there, Ms. Stewart has asked if there is an application process for members to complete.
We had to complete certain things to set up, like our Fidelity account and stuff like that, but we didn't apply for membership into the group, if that makes sense.
Yes.
We accepted everyone who was interested. We recruited additional people to kind of even us out by having 12 members, and our dues are $50 a month. They gave us 1,600 of guaranteed dollars and a cents a month to invest. And then we have an annual fee that we pay in the month that we started, which is November. But that annual fee is just a little higher, if I'm not mistaken, but it's to help pay for some of those fees. Like we set up an iPostal account. We had to register our name, things like that, of that nature. We had to use those fees, and it was just helpful to pull that out separately and or budget for it separately each year, to sustain us and not dip into what we invest with.
Great. I would like to just thank you for what I think is a real return on our investment of time. This has been informative, it has been inspiring, as well as educational. And I'd like to just ask if there's anything else from the audience before we say goodbye to our guest speakers. All right. I just looked at the questions. I'd like to thank our participants. They're thanking you also. I don't know if you can see it, but they're stating this has been quite informative, and it's been quite an opportunity for us to learn and to take this information back to our family members. You have certainly provided us with a growth and organizational strategy, and I thank you for your time and for sharing your experience as well as your knowledge.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor.
Thank
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.